Hello everyone and welcome to today's lesson at the Butterfly Princess Academy, where curiosity takes flight and wisdom wears wings. Today we're going to be learning about the Lake District. Part 1 of today's lesson is entitled The Lake District, a tapestry of history, heritage and natural splendour. So here goes. The Lake District, nestled in Cumbria, North West England, is more than just a scenic destination. It is a living testament to the interplay of geological forces, human history and cultural heritage. Designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2017, its falls, lakes and valleys tell a story that spans millennia, from prehistoric settlements to modern conservation efforts. Right, so geological marvels, the scorpion head of glaciation. So the dramatic landscape of the Lake District owes its existence to the powerful forces of glaciation during the Ice Age. Over millions of years, glaciers carved out the region's iconic U-shaped valleys, leaving behind deep ribbon lakes such as Windermere, Ullswater and Darkwater. These glaciers also sculpted the rugged mountains known locally as fells and created numerous serene, small glacial lakes nestled high in the fells. The underlying geology composed of volcanic rock and slate further influence the landscapes, providing the raw materials for the region's distinctive architecture and dry stone walls. Prehistoric and early history of ancient inhabitants. The earliest evidence of human presence in the Lake District dates back to the Mesolithic and Neolithic periods. Archaeological finds, including stone circles and axes, indicate these early inhabitants were hunter-gatherers and early farmers. The Celtic Britons who arrived later left their mark on the landscape through place names such as Gartwent, which reflects the language and connection to the natural environment. The Romans, recognising the strategic importance of the region, constructed roads and forts such as hard-knot forts to control access and maintain order. These early habitations laid the foundations for the cultural and historic tapestry that would unfold over centuries. Medieval period, Norse influence and mosaic farming. The medieval period brought significant change to the Lake District with the arrival of the Norse Vikings in the 10th century. These settlers left a lasting impact on the region's cultural and landscape, evident in place names like Thwaite and Beck, which are derived from Old Norse. Following the Norman conquest in 1066, the area came under Norman control, and Mosaic orders such as Furness Abbey acquired vast tracts of land. Monasteries played a crucial role in shaping the agricultural landscape, particularly through sheep farming, which became a dominant economic activity. The rise of tourism, recreation, celebrating the picturesque. The 18th century marked a turning point in the Lake District district's history, as wealthy travellers began to visit the region in search of picturesque scenery. However, it was the Roman poets, most notably However, it was the Romantic poets, most notably William Wordsworth, who truly popularised the area's beauty and transformed it into a cultural icon. Wordsworth, who lived in Grasmere, celebrating the natural landscape in his poetry, most famous in the Prelude, which captured the essence of the Lake District's sublime beauty. Other writers and artists, including Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Beatrix Potter, and John Ruskin, also contributed to the region's cultural appeal, further cementing its status as a haven for artistic inspiration. The arrival of the railways in the mid-19th century made the Lake District more accessible to tourists, leading to the development of hotels, guest houses and other tourist amenities. Industrial heritage, mining, charcoal, burning and bourbon mills. Alongside its natural beauty, the Lake District has a rich industrial heritage. Historically, the area was home to industries such as mining, copper, graphite and quarrying stone. Charcoal burning was an important activity for smeltering, while bobbin mills produced bobbins for the textile industry. These industries left their mark on the landscape with remnants of mines, quarries and mills still visible today. Conservation and national park status, preserving the landscape. Concerns about preserving the Lake District's landscape grew in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, leading to early conservation efforts in 1951. The Lake District National Park was established to protect the area's natural beauty and cultural heritage. This designation marked a significant step in recognising the importance of preserving the region for future generations. Cultural tradition and heritage, hardwick sheep and dry stone walling. The Lake District is also characterised by its unique cultural traditions and heritage. The hardwick breed of sheep native to the region is an iconic symbol of the Lake District and plays a vital role in maintaining the landscape. Traditional dry stone walls constructed without mortar are another characteristic feature of the area, reflecting the skill and craftsmanship of local builders. The Cumbrian dialect, with its Norse and Celtic influence, adds to the region's distinct cultural identity. Annual events such as agricultural shows, fell races and local fairs celebrate the region's heritage and provide opportunities for communities to come together. Key figures: Wordsworth, Potter, Ruskin and Wainwright. Several key figures have played a significant role in shaping the Lake District's history and heritage. William Wordsworth, as mentioned earlier, popularised the region through his romantic poetry. Beatrix Potter, author and illustrator of the Tales of Peter Rabbit, not only created beloved children's stories, but also conserved land in the Lake District, ensuring its preservation for future generations. She also left various properties as well when she died to the National Trust, and some of her properties, Hilltop Cottage, for example, still remaining within the Lake District. John Ruskin, an art critic and social commentator, appreciated and wrote about the area's beauty. while Alfred Wainwright, author of Walking Guides to the Lakeland Fells, inspired countless visitors to explore the region's fells and valleys. Modern Lake District tourism, environmental challenges and sustainability. Today, tourism is a major industry in the Lake District, with activities such as hiking, water sports, and sightseeing attracting visitors from around the world. However, the area faces challenges such as managing tourism, preserving the environment, and addressing the impacts of climate change. Efforts are being made to promote sustainable tourism, reduce carbon emissions, and protect the natural and cultural heritage of the Lake District. Modern stewardship. Learn how UNESCO designation fuels efforts to protect this heritage in climate challenges. The 2017 UNESCO World Heritage Status underscores the Lake District's universal value and provides a framework for long-term conservation. This designation has spurred collaborative efforts among local communities, conservation organisations, and government agencies to address the challenges facing the region. Climate change poses a significant threat, with rising temperatures, increased rainfall, and more frequent extreme weather events impacting the landscape. Biodiversity and cultural heritage, sustainable land management practices such as peatland restoration and woodland creation are being implemented to mitigate the effects of climate change and enhance the resilience of the ecosystem. Conclusion. The Lake District is a remarkable region where natural beauty, human history, and cultural heritage converge, from its geological formation to its prehistoric settlements, mosaic farming, romantic poets, industrial heritage, and modern conservation efforts. The Lake District offers a rich and diverse tapestry of experiences. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Lake District faces the challenge of balancing tourism with the need to protect its unique environment and cultural identity. By embracing sustainable practices and fostering a sense of stewardship, the Lake District can continue to inspire and captivate visitors for generations to come. So the Lake District is a cultural landscape recognised for its exceptional beauty shaped by agricultural traditions, local industries, and the conservation movement. This interplay of natural and human elements has not only inspired artists and literal movements, but has also been a catalyst for national and international landscape protection, earning it a World Heritage earning it a UNESCO World Heritage Site designation in 2017. Historical perspectives, early settlement and Roman influences. The Lake District's history dates back to prehistoric times, with evidence of human settlement from the Neolithic period. The Romans utilised the area as a mining centre, and remnants of the forts and settlements are still visible today. Medieval period and the Norse impact. The arrival of Norsemen, otherwise known as the Vikings, in the 10th century significantly influenced the region's culture and language, with many place names reflecting Old Norse origins. Masonic orders also shaped the agricultural landscapes through sheep farming. Industrial development, mining and quarrying have been integral to the Lake District's economy since at least the 12th century. The area has a rich industrial heritage with remnants of mines, charcoal burning sites and bobbing mills dotting the landscape. Cultural perspectives, romanticism and the picturesque. The 18th century saw the rise of tourism, with romantic poets like William Wordsworth popularising the area's beauty. Wordsworth's writings and the works of other artists like Beatrix Potter and John Ruskin solidified the Lake District as a cultural icon, attracting visitors and inspiring a sense of national pride. Conservation and national park status. Growing concerns about preserving the landscape led to the establishment of the Lake District National Park in 1951. This designation aimed to protect the area's natural beauty and cultural heritage for future generations. Cultural traditions. Unique cultural traditions such as the hard-grit breed of sheep and the dry stone walling characterise the Lake District. These elements reflect the region's distinct identity and the craftsmanship of local builders. Modern challenges. Today, the Lake District faces challenges reflected tourism, environmental preservation and climate change. Sustainable tourism and land management practices are crucial for mitigating these impacts and ensuring the long-term resilience of the ecosystem. The Lake District is a liminal site. The Lake District is a liminal space embodying conflicts and divisions such as farming versus tourism, working class versus upper class, and local versus national versus global inserts. This complexity highlights the need for a balanced approach to heritage management, one that acknowledges the diverse perspectives and values associated with the landscape. So here are some questions. So as always, I will read you out the questions and then read you out the answers. So here goes. What geological processes shape the Lake District's landscape, and how have these processes influenced human settlement patterns in the region? What evidence exists of prehistoric human activity in the Lake District, and what does this evidence suggest about the lives of early inhabitants? How did the Norse Vikings impact the culture and language of the Lake District, and what place names reflect their influence? What role did mosaic augurs play in shaping the agricultural landscape of the Lake District during the medieval period? What industries have historically been important to the Lake District's economy, and how have these industries left their mark on the landscape? What are some of the unique cultural traditions and heritages of the Lake District, and how do these traditions contribute to the region's identity? What challenges does the Lake District face today in terms of managing tourism, preserving the environment, and addressing the cultural impacts of climate change? How does the UNESCO World Heritage Status of the Lake District contribute to conservation efforts in the region? What are the key features of traditional dry stone walls in the Lake District, and what skills and craftsmanship are involved in their constructions? What are some of the sustainable land management practices being implicated in the Lake District to mitigate the effects of climate change and enhance the resilience of the ecosystem? Author and poets. How did William Wordsworth's poetry contribute to the popularisation of the Lake District's beauty and its transformation into a cultural icon? In what ways did Beatrix Potter contribute to the conservation of land in the Lake District, and how did her stories reflect the region's natural environment? What aspects of the work of the Lake District's beauty did John Ruskin appreciate and write about, and how did his writings influence perceptions of the region? How did Alfred Wainwright's walking guides inspire visitors to explore the fells and valleys of the Lake District? How did the arrival of the railways in the mid-19th century impact the Lake District's tourism industry, and what amenities were developed to accommodate visitors? How did the Romantic poets influence the perception of and appreciation of the Lake District's landscape? How did the works of Samuel Taylor Coleridge contribute to the cultural appeal of the Lake District? How did the Cumbrian dialect influence the works of authors and poets in the Lake District, and how does it contribute to the region's cultural identity? How did the natural environment of the Lake District inspire the themes and settings of Beatrix Potter's children's stories? How did the writings of John Ruskin promote an understanding and appreciation of the Lake District's artistic and cultural significance? So there are the questions, and here are the answers. So geological process, glaciation during the Ice Age carved out U-shaped valleys and deep ribbon lakes. This influenced settlement by creating fertile valley floors and water sources, but also limited accessibility to mountainous areas. Prehistoric activity. Archaeological finds like stone circles and axes indicate Mesolithic hunter-gatherers and early farmers who inhabited the land. Norse impact. The Vikings influenced the Lake District's cultural and language through place names like Thwaite and Beck, derived from Old Norse. Mosaic augurs, monasteries like Furness Abbey shaped the agricultural landscape through sheep farming, which became a dominant economic activity. Industrial heritage. Industries like mining copper, graphite, and quarrying stone left remnants of mines, quarries, and mills visible in the landscape. Unique traditions include the Hardwick breed of sheep, dry stone walls, and the Cumbrian dialect, reflecting the region's distinct identity. Challenges in managing tourism, preserving the environment, and addressing climate change impacts. The UNESCO World Heritage Site underscores the Lake District's universal value and providing a framework for long-term conservation efforts. Traditional dry stone walls are constructed without mortar, reflecting the skill and craftsmanship of local builders. Sustainable land management practices include peatland restoration and woodland creation to mitigate climate change effects and enhance ecosystem resilience. William Wordsworth's poetry popularised the Lake District's beauty and transformed it into a cultural icon by capturing the essence of its sublime landscape. Beatrix Potter conserved land in the Lake District and reflected the region's natural environment in her stories, ensuring its preservation for future generations. John Ruskin appreciated and wrote about the Lake District's beauty, influencing perceptions of the region and promoting an understanding of its artistic and cultural significance. Wainwright's walking guides inspired visitors to explore the fells and valleys of the Lake District. promoting outdoor recreation and appreciation for natural landscapes. The arrival of railways in the mid-19th century led to the development of hotels, guest houses and other tourist amenities, making the Lake District more accessible to visitors. The Romantic poets influenced the perception and appreciation of the Lake District's landscape by celebrating its natural beauty and inspiring a sense of awe and wonder. Coleridge contributed to the cultural aspects of the Lake District through his writings, which captured the region's unique atmosphere and charm. The Cumbrian dialects influenced the works of authors and poets in the Lake District, adding to the region's cultural identity and providing a unique linguistic flavour to their writings. The natural environment of the Lake District inspired the themes and settings in Beatrix Potter's children's stories, reflecting her deep connection to the region's landscape and wildlife. The writings of John Ruskin promoted an understanding and appreciation of the Lake District's artistic and cultural significance, highlighting its importance as a source of inspiration and creativity. So here are some rhetorical questions. So again, I'll read you out the questions and then read you out the insights. So here goes. These are rhetorical questions. Can you imagine the sheer force of nature required to carve out the dramatic valleys and lakes that define the Lake District? If those prehistoric inhabitants could see the Lake District today, would they recognise the land they once roamed? Isn't it remarkable how the Norse influences still echo in the place names and local culture of the Lake District? Who would have thought that the Mosaic augurs, with their forces of focus on spiritual pursuits, would play such a crucial role in shaping the agricultural landscape of the Lake District? When you wander through the Lake District, can't you almost hear the echoes of industrial past, the clatter of mills and the clang of hammers? How can we ensure that the unique cultural traditions and heritage of the Lake District continue to thrive in the face of modern challenges? As we enjoy the beauty of the Lake District, are we doing enough to protect its future generations? Doesn't the UNESCO World Heritage Status of the Lake District remind us of our shared responsibility to preserve this remarkable place? When you see a dry stone wall snaking across the landscape, do you appreciate the skill and craftsmanship that went into its construction? Shouldn't we all be asking ourselves how we can contribute to sustainable land management practices in the Lake Districts? Are rhetorical questions on authors and poets. Would the Lake District be the same without the poetic vision of William Wordsworth, who captured its essence in verse? Isn't it inspiring to think that Beatrix Potter's love for the Lake District not only fueled her stories, but also led to the conservation of its precious land? Can't you feel John Ruskin's passion for the Lake District's beauty and his eloquent descriptions of its landscapes and art? How many visitors have been inspired to explore the fells and valleys of the Lake District thanks to Alfred Wainwright's trusty walking guides? Did the arrival of the railway truly open up Lake District to the masses, or did it also bring unintended consequences for the region's environment and culture? Wouldn't you agree that the Romantic poets helped to elevate the Lake District from a mere scenic destination to a place of profound cultural significance? Can't you hear the echoes of Samuel Taylor Coleridge poetic musings as you wander through the Lake District's tranquil landscape. Doesn't the Cumbrian dialect add a unique flavour of authenticity to the works of authors and poets who have drawn inspiration from the Lake District? Isn't it remarkable how Beatrix Potter managed to weave the natural environment of the Lake District into her children's stories, creating a world that is both enchanting and educational? Shouldn't we all strive to follow in the footsteps of John Ruskin, promoting an understanding and appreciation of the Lake District's artistic and cultural treasures? So here are the insights. It's almost impossible to fully grasp the immense power of glacial forces that sculpted the landscape over millennia. The scale of the transformation is humbling. While the fundamental landscape might be familiar, the changes sparked by agriculture, industry and tourism would likely be astonishing and perhaps even more unsettling to them. It's a testament to the enduring impact of cultural exchange and migration, a reminder that history leaves its marks in subtle but persistent ways. It highlights the complex interplay between religious institutions, economic activities, and landscape management throughout history. The remnants of industry are a poignant reminder of the human endeavour and integrity that shape the region alongside its natural beauty. It requires a concerted effort to support local communities, to promote sustainable practices and celebrate the region's distinct identity. It's a constant challenge to balance tourism with conservation, and we must continually strive to minimise our impact and promote reasonable stewardship. It's a call to action urging us to recognise the universal value of the Lake District and to contribute to its long-term preservation. These walls are more than just functional structures, they are works of art that reflect the deep connections between people and the land. Every action, no matter how small, can make a difference in protecting the Lake District's environment and ensuring its sustainability. So here are the insights into the rhetorical questions about authors and poets now. Wordsworth's poetry has indelibly shaped our perception of the Lake District, transforming it into a landscape of the imagination. Potter's legacy is a powerful example of how creativity and conservation go hand in hand. Ruskin's writings invite us to see the Lake District with new eyes, appreciating its artistic and cultural significance. Wainwright's guides have opened up the Lake District's countless adventurers, fostering a love for the outdoors and a deeper connection to the landscape. The railways brought both opportunities and challenges, highlighting the complex relationship between progress and preservation. The Romantic poets transformed the Lake District into a landscape of the mind, inspiring generations of artists, writers and visitors. Coleridge's poetry adds another layer of depth and meaning to the Lake District's already rich cultural tapestry. The local dialect grounds their work in a specific place in time, adding to its cultural richness. Potter's stories are a testament to the power of place and the importance of connecting children with nature. By celebrating the Lake District's cultural heritage, we can help to ensure its preservation for future generations. So, final thoughts. The Lake District is more than just a collection of stunning vistas. It's a living tapestry woven from the threads of geological forces, human endeavour, cultural traditions, and artistic inspiration. From its prehistoric roots to its modern day challenges, the region offers a profound lesson in the interconnectedness of nature and culture. As we've seen, the Lake District has been shaped by farmers, miners, poets, and conservationists, each leaving their mark on this remarkable landscape. It's a place which invites us to reflect on our relationship with the natural world and our responsibility to protect it for future generations. Inspirational quotes to carry forward. To keep the spirit of the Lake District alive in our hearts, here are a few inspirational quotes. William Wordsworth, come forth into the light of things, yet let nature be your teacher. John Ruskin, there is no wealth but life. Beatrix Potter, I hold that a strongly marked personality can influence descendants for centuries. Alfred Wainwright, there's no such thing as bad weather, only unsuitable clothing. John Muir, in every walk with nature one receives far more than he seeks. Let these words guide us as we continue to explore, appreciate and protect the natural and cultural treasures of the Lake District. So that concludes the first part of the lesson. Now I want to talk a bit about tourism in the lakes. So the evolution of tourism in the Lake District, a historical and cultural analysis. The Lake District, a geographically distinct. The Lake District, a geographically distinct region in northwest England, has undergone a remarkable transformation from a sparsely populated economically marginal area to a global recognised tourist destination. This lesson will examine the historical trajectory of tourism in the Lake District, analysing the interplay of aesthetic movements which will influence social economic factors and conservation efforts that have shaped its identity as a cultural landscape. Pre-tourism landscapes. Prior to the late 18th century, the Lake District was characterised by a agrarian economy supplemented by mining and quarrying activities. The rugged topography and challenging climate limited agricultural productivity, resulting in a relatively isolated and sparsely populated region. Initial perceptions of the landscape was often unfavourable, emphasising its perceived harshness and lack of conservational beauty. Early travel accounts rarely focused on the aesthetic qualities of the region, instead highlighting the difficulties of traversing its terrain. The picturesque and romantic eras, aesthetic re-evaluation and literal construction. The emergence of the picturesque movement in the late 18th century incited a fundamental shift in the preconception of the Lake District. Theorists such as William Gilpin advocated for a new mode of aesthetic appreciation, emphasising the visual qualities of landscapes and encouraging travellers to seek out scenes. This conforms to the principles of practical composition. This aesthetic re-evaluation coincided with the rise of Romanticism, a cultural movement that celebrated the power of nature to inspire emotional and spiritual experiences. The Romantic poets, particularly William Wordsworth, played a pivotal role in constructing the Lake District as a site of literal and cultural significance. Wordsworth's poetry, deeply rooted in his personal experiences of the landscape, portrayed the region as a source of profound emotional and intellectual stimulation. His Guide to the Lakes, first published in 1810, served as a seminal text for early tourists, shaping their understanding of the landscapes and establishing a literal framework for its interpretation. Other Romantic figures, including Samuel Taylor Coleridge and John Keats, further contributed to the region's literal allure, attracting visitors eager to engage with the landscape that had inspired their works. Victorian expansion, infrastructure development and mass tourism. The Victorian era witnessed a significant expansion of tourism in the Lake District, driven by advances in transportation infrastructure and the growth of a leisure-orientated middle class. The arrival of railway lines in the mid-19th century dramatically improved accessibility, connecting the region to major urban centres and facilitating the influx of visitors. Towns such as Windermere and Ambleside experienced rapid growth with the construction of hotels, guest house and other tourist amenities, catering to the increasing demand. The Victorian period also saw the development of key visitor attractions, including boat services on Lake Windermere, guided tours of scenic locations, and the establishment of museums and cultural institutions. The confirmation of the landscape accelerated with the production and sale of the souvenirs, guidebooks, and other tourist paraphernalia. 20th and 21st century conservation, sustainability, and cultural heritage. The 20th century brought increasing awareness of environmental impacts of tourism in the Lake District, leading to the establishment of the Lake District National Park in 1951. This designation aimed to balance the promotion of tourism with the conservation of the region's natural and cultural heritage. The National Park Authority has played a crucial role in managing visitor flows, promoting sustainable tourism practices, and investing in conservation projects. Contemporary tourism in the Lake District is characterised by a diverse range of activities, including hiking, water sports, cultural tourism, and literal tourism. The region's literature heritage continues to be a major draw, with attractions such as Dove Cottage and Hilltop, attracting visitors from around the world. The challenges for the future lies in managing tourism in a way that minimises its environmental impact, preserves the region's unique cultural identity, and ensures for long-term sustainability of the local economy. Conclusion. The evolution of tourism in the Lake District represents a complex interplay of historical, cultural and economic forces, from its early neglect to its contemporary status as a premier tourist destination. The region has undergone a series of transformation that reflects challenging aesthetic values, literal influence and social economic trends. The ongoing challenges lies in balancing the economic benefits of tourism with the imperative of preserving the Lake District's natural beauty and cultural heritage for future generations. The Lake District, right, I've read that. One minute. Historical and modern economy. Historically, the Lake District's economy relied on culture, mining and quarrying. However, the growth of tourism has transformed the region's economic structure. Tourism is now the main source of income for the Lake District, bringing significant benefits to the area. In 2023, the Lake District saw 18.11 million tourists, generating £2,304,000,000 in revenue. This revenue supports local communities by providing employment and supporting services such as accommodation, food, drink and leisure activities. 20th and 21st centuries conservation, sustainability and cultural heritage. The 20th century brought increasing awareness of the environmental impact of tourism in the Lake District. Right, don't read that. The Lake District is characterised by, right, we've read that. So here are some questions now about tourism in the Lake District. So, how did the pre-tourism economy of the Lake District, agricultural and mining, shape the region's initial preconception and development? In what specific ways did the picturesque movement influence the early development of tourism in the Lake District? What were the social and economic impacts of the railway's arrival on the Lake District's tourism industry and local communities? How did the establishment of the Lake District's National Park in 1951 impact the region's approach to tourism and conservation? What role did Pacific historical figures beyond Wordsworth play in promoting or shaping tourism in the Lake District? How did Wordsworth's guide to the lake shape the tourist experience and understanding of the Lake District landscape? In what ways did the Romantic poets construct the Lake District as a site of cultural and literal significance? How has the configuration of the Lake District's landscape, souvenirs, guidebooks influenced its cultural identity? How does the Lake District's designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site impact its cultural preservation and tourism strategies? How do contemporary art cultural attractions such as Dove Cottage and Hilltop Cottage contribute to the region's tourism economy and cultural identity? How has the shift from a primary agrarian economy to a tourism-based economy affected the social structures and demographics of the Lake District? What are the economic benefits and drawbacks of tourism for local communities in the Lake District? How does the Lake District balance the economic needs of the tourism industry with the environmental concerns of a protected national park? What strategies are being implemented to ensure the long-term sustainability of the Lake District's tourism economy? How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the tourism economy of the Lake District, and what are the strategies for recovery? What are the key challenges facing the Lake District in managing tourism while preserving its natural and cultural heritage? How can the Lake District serve as a model for other regions seeking to develop sustainable tourism practices? What are the potential future trends in tourism that could impact the Lake District? How has the perception of the Lake District changed over time, and what factors have contributed to these changes? What role do local communities play in shaping the tourism experience and preserving the cultural identity of the Lake District? Here are the answers to these questions. So, the rugged terrain and challenging climate associated with the agriculture and mining foster a perception of the Lake District as a harsh, remote and economically viable area. This initially discouraged tourism as the region was seen as lacking the picturesque qualities valued at the time. The picturesque movement encouraged travellers to view the landscape as a series of carefully composed scenes, much like paintings. This led to a focus on specific viewpoints and the framing of visits. It also promoted the construction of follies and other structures designed to enhance the visual appeal of the Lake District for tourists. The railway dramatically increased accessibility, bringing in a large influx of tourists from industrial cities. This led to the growth of tourist-oriented businesses such as hotels, guest houses, and creating new employment opportunities. However, it also strained local resources, increased property value, and altered the traditional ways of life in some communities. The National Park designation aimed to balance tourism promotion and environmental conservation. It led to regulations on development efforts to manage visitor flows and investments in conservation projects. The Park Authority also played a role in promoting responsible tourism practices. William Gilpin, his writings on the picturesque helped to popularise the region as a destination for aesthetic appreciation. Her children's books and subsequent conservation efforts helped to preserve the landscape and attract visitors interested in literal legacy. His writings on art and social reform drew visitors to his home, Brentwood, and contributed to the region's cultural appeal. Wordsworth's guide provided a literal framework for it, interpreting the landscape, emphasising its emotional and spiritual significance. It encouraged visitors to seek out specific locations and engage with the landscape in a competitive manner, shaping their expectations and experiences. The Romantic poets portrayed the Lake District as a place of natural beauty, emotional inspiration, and spiritual renewal. Their works embodied the landscape with symbolic meaning, attracting visitors eager to experience the landscape, and had inspired such profound poetry. Has both positive and negative effects. On one hand, it promotes the region's image and makes it accessible to a wider audience. On the other, it can lead to travelization of its cultural heritage and the tourist experience. The UNESCO designation recognises the Lake District as a cultural landscape of outstanding universal value. This destination provides resources and additional resources and support for cultural preservation efforts and influences tourism strategies to promote sustainable and responsible tourism. These attractions draw visitors interested in the region's literal and artistic heritage. They provide educational experiences, generate revenue for local businesses, and help to preserve the cultural identity of the Lake District. The shift has led to a decline in traditional agricultural jobs and an increase in service sector employment. It has also attracted new residents to its region, altering the demographics and potentially leading to tensions between long-term residents and newcomers. And I'm sorry to if I offend any local Cumbrians or any local residents of the Lake District when I say this, but God, they are not happy if you step on their toes. They're always on the local news, moaning about something, and they're never happy. You can never please them in whatever you do. Benefits: increased employment opportunities, revenue for local businesses, investment in infrastructure and preservation of cultural heritage. Drawbacks: increased property values, strain on local resources, seasonal employment, traffic congregation and potential loss of traditional way of life. Through regulations on development, promotion of sustainable tourism practices, investments in conservation projects and efforts to manage visitor flow, the Park Authority also works to educate visitors about responsible tourism. Promoting off-season tourism, encouraging the use of public transportation, supporting local businesses, investing in renewable energy and implementing sustainable land management practices. The pandemic led to a significant decline in tourism revenue due to travel restrictions and lockdowns. Recovery strategies include promoting domestic tourism, implementing health and safety measures, supporting local businesses, and investing in digital marketing. Balancing economic development and environmental protection, managing visitor flow, preserving cultural identity, addressing the needs of local communities, and adapting to climate change. By demonstrating the importance of integrated planning, community involvement, environmental stewardship, and cultural preservation, the Lake District's experience can provide valuable lessons for other regions seeking to balance tourism with sustainability. Increased demand for ecotourism, the rise of experimental travel, the impacts of climate change, the growth of digital tourism, and the changing demographics of tourists. From a harsh remote region to a picturesque landscape and a cultural icon, factors contributing to these changes include the picturesque movement, romantic literature, improved transportation, and the rise of environmental awareness. Local communities provide essential services for tourists, maintain the cultural landscape, and contribute to the region's unique character. Their involvement in tourism planning and management is crucial for ensuring its sustainability and preserving the region's identity. So here are some rhetorical questions. Was the Lake District always destined to become a tourist heaven, or were there critical turning points that shaped its trajectory? Could the picturesque movement have found a more fitting canvas than the dramatic landscape of the Lake District? Did the arrival of the railway truly democratise access to the Lake District, or did it simply usher in a new era of configuration? Was the establishment of the national park a triumph of conservation or a necessary compromise in the face of unchecked tourism? In retrospect, could the Lake District have developed a different model of tourism, one less reliant on mass visitation? Without Wordsworth's pen, would the Lake District hold the same allure for literal pilgrims today? Did the Romantic poets truly capture the essence of the Lake District, or did they create a romanticised myth which obscures its realities? Has the configuration of the Lake District enhanced or diminished its cultural value? Does the UNESCO designation truly protect the Lake District's cultural landscape, or does it simply add another layer of bureaucratic complexity? Are contemporary cultural attractions truly preserving the region's heritage, or are they merely catering to the demands of the tourist gaze? Has the tourism-based economy truly benefited or restricted all residents of the Lake District, or has it created new forms of inequality? Can the Lake District continue to rely on tourism as its primary economic driver, or must it diversify its economy to ensure long-term sustainability? Is it possible to reconcile the economic needs of the tourism industry with the environmental imperative of protecting fragile ecosystems? Are current strategies truly ensuring the long-term sustainability of the Lake District's tourism economy, or are they merely postponing the inevitable consequences of over-tourism? Will the Lake District ever find a way to balance the needs of tourists with the needs of its local communities? Is the Lake District destined to become a victim of its own success, overwhelmed by the very tourists it seeks to attract? Can the Lake District truly serve as a model for other regions seeking to develop sustainable tourism, or is its unique history and geography impossible to replicate? Will future generations look back on our management of the Lake District with admiration or regret? Have we truly understood the soul of the Lake District, or are we merely scratching the surface of its profound beauty and complexity? Ultimately, does the future of the Lake District lie in the hands of tourist policymakers, of the local communities who call it home? So here are some insights. It wasn't inevitable. The picturesque movement and romantic literature were crucial catalysts. Without them, the region might have remained relatively obscure. Infrastructure developments like railways were also pivotal. The Lake District's combination of rugged mountains, serene lakes, and pastoral valleys perfectly embodied the ideas of the picturesque. Other regions might have offered similar elements, but the Lake District's concentration of these features made it uniquely suited to the movement. Sorry, did the arrival right? So it was a mixed bag. The railway made the region accessible to a broader segment of society, but it also fueled the growth of commercial tourism, leading to configuration of the landscape and the potential displacement of local communities. It was likely both the national park designation and was a significant step towards conservation, but it's also representing a compromise as it allowed tourism to continue under a framework of regulation and management. Perhaps a focus on higher value, lower impact tourism, for example, ecotourism, cultural tourism, might have been a more sustainable approach, but it would have required different policies and investments. Unlikely, Wordsworth's poetry and guide established Lake District as a literal landscape, shaping its cultural identity and attracting generations of visitors. The Romantics offered a particular interpretation of the Lake District, emphasising its beauty and spiritual power. While their vision was influential, it may have overlooked the social and economic realities of the region. It's a complex issue, can make the region's culture more accessible, but can also lead to travelisation and the loss of authenticity. The UNESCO designation provides international recognition and can attract funding for preservation efforts. However, it also comes with additional regulations and oversight which can be challenging to local communities. The best attraction strives to balance preservation with accessibility, offering engaging experiences while respecting the integrity of the cultural heritage. However, some attractions may prioritise entertainment over education. While tourism has brought economic opportunities, it has also contributed to rising property values and a shortage of affordable housing, potentially exacerbating inequality. Deforestation is likely necessary. Over-reliance on tourism can make the region vulnerable to economic shocks and environmental changes. It requires careful planning, sustainable practices, and a willingness to prioritise environmental protection over short-term economic gains. The effectiveness of current strategies is debatable. Continuous monitoring and adaptation are essential to ensure that tourism remains sustainable in the long run. It's an ongoing challenge that requires open dialogue, collaborative planning, and a commitment to finding solutions that benefit both tourists and residents. This is a real risk. Over-tourism can degrade the environment, erode the cultural identity, and diminish the quality of the visitor experience. The Lake District's experience can offer valuable lessons, but its specific context is unique. Other regions must adapt these lessons to their own circumstances. The answer depends on the choices we make today. We will prioritise short-term economic gain. Will we prioritise short-term economic gains, or will we invest in the long-term sustainability of the region? The Lake District is a place of deep history, a rich culture, and profound natural beauty. Understanding it so requires a willingness to engage with it on multiple levels. The future of the Lake District depends on the collective actions of all stakeholders. Tourists must be responsible, policymakers must be forward-thinking, and local communities must be empowered to shape their own future. Final thoughts. The story of the Lake District's tourism is a powerful reminder that our relationship with nature and culture is constantly evolving. It highlights the delicate balance between economic development, environmental preservation, and the preservation of cultural identity. As we've explored, the Lake District's journey is filled with both triumphs and challenges, successes and compromises. Ultimately, the future of the Lake District, and indeed any places we cherish, depends on our ability to learn from the past, embrace sustainable practices, and foster a deep respect for the natural and cultural heritage that it makes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, concludes today's lesson at the Butterfly Princess Academy, where 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 curiosity takes flight and wisdom wears wings. I would like now to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining me today for today's lesson at the Academy, and I very much hope you can join me again in the very near future for future lessons. But until next time, take care, and bye-bye, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.